Alright mates, how's it going? In today's video, Chapter 2 of Beyond the Dark Portal by Aaron Rosenberg and Christie Golden. I'll just do the one chapter this week because it's a fairly reasonable length. So let's go! Look at this place. Gen Greymane, King of Gilneas, gestured around at the newly built citadel towering above, and the other Alliance kings all nodded.
So this is where our money's gone to. It's big. Big as expensive.
The other kings mumbled in agreement, but a tall, slim young man then approached.
How great a price do you put on safety? Nothing worth having comes cheaply.
The grumbling then ceased. Varian Rin, recently crowned King of Stormwind, knew a thing or two about safety, and how it felt to have that safety ripped away.
Indeed. How's the rebuilding going, Your Majesty?
Very well, Admiral.
Thank you. The Stonemasons Guild is doing an excellent job. They're fine craftsmen. Their skills rival the dwarves themselves. Our city is rising higher and higher every day. Worth every copper, I'd say.
At that, the kings all chuckled approvingly, especially Tyrannus. He'd grown quite fond of the young man over the years, almost like a son he was. Not completely, because Tyrannus already had a son that had grown into a decent chap himself, but the King of Lordaeron couldn't help but feel a little bit of fatherly pride for the way this youth had turned out.
Speak of the devil, here's the miracle worker himself.
A tall, dark-haired and powerfully built bloke then walked up. 'Twas the man in charge of Stormwind's restoration, and the construction here of Nethergarde Keep.
Master Van Cleef, I trust the work continues apace?
It does, Your Majesty. It'll hold against all corners, sire. I promise you that.
I know it will, sir. You've outdone yourself here, and that takes some doing.
Van Cleef nodded his thanks, and then buggered off back to work, and the kings then continued their walk.
Nicely handled. Diffusing Greymane and flattering Van Cleef at the same time. It was an honest compliment. He'll work harder because of it, and Greymane only complains to hear the sound of his own voice.
You've grown very wise for your age, or perhaps just wise in general.
However, as the kings made their way further through the courtyard, Greymane's grumbling started up again.
I know they're working hard, but why so many buildings? Why go to so much trouble and cost to create such a vast citadel? It's only here to watch over the valley where the Dark Portal once stood, is it not? A simple keep would have been fine.
Greymane's booming voice carried all the way inside to Khadgar and Archmage Antonidas, who just kind of smiled and looked at each other.
Good to hear Greymane is his usual self.
Yeah, some things never change.
The kings then finally arrived at their destination, and Khadgar wasted no time at all to get right down to business.
You wish to know what your money has brought you then? Well, Nethergarde Keep is large, yes, but it has to be, to house all the Magi and soldiers that will be stationed here. If the Horde ever return, we need to be ready. I understand the warriors, but why so many Magi? Surely one would be enough to monitor the situation and alert us of any danger.
Khadgar began to pace the room and consider his next words carefully.
You no doubt saw the state of this region on your approach. Something drained the life from the Orcs' homeworld, and when the Dark Portal opened, that lifelessness touched our world as well. When we destroyed the portal, we thought the land would heal itself, but it didn't. The taint continued to spread.
Gasps and murmurs came from each of the kings. This was news to them.
We began to study the situation, and we discovered that even with the portal gone, a small dimensional rift remains. You said continued to spread, lad. At least tell us you found a way to stop the taint. We did, though it took several of us working together to do it. Hence why we need more than one Magi stationed here. Unfortunately, there's no way to restore the land that's already been damaged. We managed to protect the northern half of the Black Morass, but the southern half, people have taken to calling it the Blasted Lands. I doubt it will ever be able to support life again. Still, we stopped the taint and saved the rest of the world's soil. That's an incredible feat. Well done. Thanks. We've done more than I dared hope, but less than I might have liked. There's still the matter of the rift itself.
Is there a risk that it might reopen?
Khadgar scanned each of the kings' faces, and he could see just how nervous and uncomfortable they all looked. The idea of going through all of that again, ain't nobody got time for that. But before he could answer Trollbane's question, he was interrupted by a shrill call from just outside. And then, Illyria Windrunner entered.
Gentlemen, Illyria, this had better be good. I was hunting orcs. You're always hunting orcs, but that's part of why I wanted you here for this. I was just explaining that we've noticed a dimensional rift where the Dark Portal once stood. Recently, the energies emanating from it have increased dramatically.
What does that mean? Are you saying it's getting stronger?
Yes. We believe it's about to expand.
Have the Horde found some way to restore the portal?
Perhaps, perhaps not. But even if they can't restore the portal, they would still once more have access to our world once the rift is large enough.
I knew this would happen!
Each of the kings looked understandably unhappy. Illyria, however, looked almost as if she was trying to stifle a grin.
How soon? And how many?
How many we cannot say. But how soon? Very. We may only have a few days.
What do you need?
The Alliance army. All of it. Here. The Sons of Lothar must step forward once again.
And you're absolutely sure about this rift?
I wish I wasn't. The energy level is most definitely rising. And the rift is most definitely expanding. We can't afford to take chances. I say we rally the Alliance army and make ready for war.
Agreed.
The rest of the kings nodded their agreement as well.
Someone will need to talk to Turallion.
The very mention of that name made Illyria stiffen somewhat, which Khadgar noticed. Something had happened between those two, but Khadgar had never asked what. He knew better than that. He'd always felt sorry for them, but now he was starting to wonder whether this cold distance between the two was going to cause some problems.
He's still commander of the Alliance army, so it's his job to gather our soldiers and prepare them for what lies ahead.
An idea then occurred to Khadgar. 'Twas a cheeky one, but it could, in fact, solve two problems at once.
Illyria, you could reach Stormwind faster than anyone else on that griffin of yours. Why don't you go?
Surely someone else could accomplish the trek just as easily, Khadgar.
No, I don't think so. Please, Illyria, for all our sakes, find him, tell him, and bring him here.
And maybe you two could settle your differences, he thought. But he didn't say that bit out loud. Illyria then gave Khadgar the dirtiest stink eye you can imagine, but then sighed in defeat.
Fine, I'll do as you ask.
And without saying any other words like bye or nice seeing you all, she stomped off.
Right then, each of us should return to our kingdoms, rally our troops and gather supplies.
The kings nodded once again, and then they all buggered off.
Aye, go. Rouse the Sons of Lothar. I just pray it's not too late.
What?
Nothing.